We're going to talk about 10 powerful ways to grow your group and also how to help them learn to bond together. And I think this is going to be a really good refresher course for all of us as we develop ways to make our groups do better. So I want to ask you a question first. Have you ever seen a pretty good egg? Well, I've seen one. I had a recipe that had that was for cheesecake, and it had 12 eggs in it. Not only that, it had several very expensive cheeses. So I got all the cheeses and I mixed them together, and I began to crack those eggs, 1, 2, all the way up to 12. And when I cracked the 12th one and put it in, I looked at that egg and I thought, something's a little wrong with that egg. It's just a little wonky. It just didn't quite look like the others. But then I thought, what should I do? Should I throw the whole thing out because that egg isn't quite right? But then I thought about that cheese and how much money I'd spent on it. And then I thought about all those eggs. And then I thought about the party I was going to where I needed to have this cheesecake ready. So I took my spoon and stirred it in as hard as I could. And it was pretty good. So that night when they served the cheesecake, I couldn't eat any because I knew it had just a pretty good egg in it. And I want us to be sure that we don't live our lives being a pretty good egg, that we are not pretty good group leaders, that we don't live, we don't go at first place and teach and lead people in first place in a pretty good way. We want to go with excellence, or should I say excellence? Maybe I should. But I really want to tell you this statement that I thought of while I was getting ready for this. And here is the statement. Mediocrity stagnates multiplication. I think you have that for them to see, Helen. Mediocrity stagnates multiplication. If you go at leading your group in a mediocre way, then you will not multiply and you will not become a strong group that you want to do. So because see, what happens is that your group reflects you. And if you're excited about being a leader, and if you, you love coming and you can't wait to get there and you're really wanting to lead people, that will reflect on the group. But if you do it because nobody else will, or you do it because you are just filling in the spot, then you will not be able to do, you will be mediocre. And look, it really falls over into a lot of things. Like, do you really love the members of your group? That's really quite the question. Is you say, sure, I love them, but do you really love them in every way? And so it can't be just a job, and it can't be just a thing you do at your church. It has to be done with excellence. And look, the reason that we do first place with excellence is because we have life-changing information. First place changes lives. First place transforms you if you follow its principles. And so we have this wonderful information, so we never ever want to be mediocre. So my goal tonight is to help you go away from here saying, I'm going to be excellent, excellent, excellent from now on. I'm never going to be a pretty good egg as a leader in first place. So let's get down to the 10 powerful ways that we can grow our group. The first one is purpose. What is the purpose of a first place group? Well, it really is to get healthy. To get healthy. It's not necessarily that you lose weight. That's not the main purpose. It's learning to live a balanced life, of the four-sided person, that balanced life. Yes, Bible study is part of it. Yes, eating healthy is part of it. Yes, losing weight is part of it. Yes, exercise is part of it. Yes, emotional healing is part of it. But the main focus of first place is for us to get healthy and to live a balanced life. And the reason we want to do that is because the Bible says that our bodies are the temple of God, the temple of the Holy Spirit. And so if He lives in us, we want to have the strongest, most healthy bodies that we can possibly have. And this past week, I was reading in 3rd John. How long has it been since you read 3rd John? But I was reading 3rd John, and I read this verse in the 2nd verse. It was just one chapter, and it says we want to be as healthy in body as we are in spirit. And so it's really important for us to understand that we don't get, the Bible study is important, the nutrition, learning about that is important, all those things, but the main thing is to be healthy all the way around, in our body, in our spirit, every part of us. So purpose, what does it mean? An unpurposed group or an unfocused group will always start to plateau or decline. Or once it plateaus, it'll start to decline. And so what do we need to do to get that laser focus? And it really is that the focus must be outward. We must not be thinking small. We must not be thinking that the ones who attend are the ones who attend and nobody else is ever going to come. And we have this sweet group and that's all we need. No, 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 no. Reach out to all people that you can find and help them find the life-changing purpose and power of First Place. And so I think one of the things that can really help you, if you will do this as a group or as the leader of the group, is to write a mission statement for your group. I don't know if any of you have done this before, but it's a really important thing to sort of set some goals or to set a focus. What is my group? Now, a mission statement is two things. It's like an umbrella. So it's like it covers everything you do. So it should be kind of big and lofty and broad. And it's also like a filter. So if you are writing your mission statement for First Place, then and something comes along, some opportunity comes along, and it filters through your mission statement. If it works, it'll filter through. If not, it'll get stopped by the mission statement. And so I wanted to show you a sample of a mission statement for a group, and Helen has some information about planning and developing a mission statement as well.
Well, there's the mission statement on your screen. Hey, Karen, we're getting some messages too that your voice is a little muffled, so I don't know if there's any way that okay. I don't know if you. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm hearing. So that's suggesting. But I also wanted to just comment on that. I had a webinar in December that was called What's Next? And so I talked about having a vision and a mission statement, and even looking if your group is at your church, what is your church and how does your mission of your group meet the mission of your church, and really focused on the whole outreach aspect of what it looks like. Churches are reaching out, and so should our groups. Most pastors would love to have more people come to their church as a result of that. So that was just my focus on looking. If you meet in a church, go look at your church's mission and vision statement, and make that be part of help you plan the mission statement of your group.
I think Helen's seminar that she did called What Next would be a really good one for you if you haven't been to it as a leader, because it does talk about planning out your year and organizing your class, and that'll go a long way for making you a good leader that's not mediocre.
Right.
So if you were having trouble hearing me, let me know if you can hear me better now, because I'm really raising my voice.
I think it's still a little muffled. Somebody suggested maybe you could switch to headphones. I don't know if that's available close by to you or not. I know that I don't know if that's available or not, but that was a suggestion. So I'll feel.
Can you block me out for a second?
I certainly, maybe you can. I don't know. Hold on. I will mute you. Maybe. If you mute yourself, I'll talk. They won't be able to see you. So can you mute yourself? So you do that. Go ahead. And very good. Wonderful. She's getting her headphones. So let's see what we got here. We do have a question that we got from Anna Marie Wilson. Hey, Anna Marie. She said she's from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and she is at Seacoast Community Church. Way to go. and she's lost 50.6 pounds. So thank you for giving me something to answer. She says they're doing the Daniel plan, and if we have a new book out. And the answer to that question is absolutely. Be Free. Vicki wrote about it in her newsletter. It should be out the first of, we're thinking it'll be available for sale by mid-September, kind of promising for October. So that is definitely the newest thing. I also have a book out called Restored, Embracing Weight Loss God's Way, and it also is written with a 12-week Bible study to do as a small group if you're interested in that as well. All right, I think Karen's back. Let's see. Karen, can we hear you?
Yeah, is this any better?
It is way better. So,
well, that's interesting because we did practice ahead of time.
We did, but oh well.
Okay, so let's go back. Number one is that you've got to get focused. You got to really understand what your First Place for Health group is. It's not one of your church's Bible studies, although we do study the Bible, and it's not a weight loss program, although we do lose weight. It's not an exercise program, although we do exercise, but it is a balanced program that gives you a new way of living. So that's a wonderful way to look at it. Now let's move on to number two. Number two quality for a great way to grow your group is to have leaders who are quality leaders. You, as the main leader of your group, cannot do this alone. You got to get a team together. You have to. We must have people who are able to do some of these things for you. So you got to start recruiting those. In the group that I led, the first group that I led, we had this wonderful girl named Tiffany who was a nutrition expert. And she had the expertise to really dig down deep and give us help with understanding, proteins and all the things we needed to do and how we could put it all together. But you don't have to find an expert like Tiffany. You can find anyone can help you, can learn what they need to do and do it. And what you need to have when you come into your classroom is to have leaders who are prepared, who are not figuring out what to do just when they come in the room and they say, oh dear, we got to put this all together and arrive at the classroom and start trying to figure out what they're going to teach. But leaders who are enthusiastic and who are, really, really ready to go and who have prepared ahead of time. And I'll tell you something, if you get discouraged as the main leader of your class, so will your other leaders. And so will the people in your class if you're discouraged, because they will follow your lead. So let's talk about what makes a good leader if you're going to get some other people to help you lead this class. First of all, we need a person who's emotionally stable. And so if there are issues of some sort, then maybe they need time to work through those issues before we put them in a leadership role. Another, probably the most important thing a leader needs is that they spend time in the Word of God every day. And if they do, then it matters and it shows them what God wants to do. He speaks through His Word. The power is in His Word. And then the third thing about leaders that you need as you lead leaders is that if you pick somebody, they may not be ready, or they may think they're ready. They may be excellent, like our nutrition expert was. But each new leader that you bring into your group, that you start training in your group, has to be committed to one thing, and that is to keep getting better, at what they do. So what does that mean? That means that they are willing to get training, that they're willing to come to these webinars when First Place has them, that they're willing to go get training in other areas. I was remembering, you all probably know Joyce Ainsworth, who is one of our leaders and one of our successful weight loss people. And she came to a course I taught on speaking. And in that course, I taught about how to make eye contact with the people in your group when you're speaking to them. And what you do is that you make eye contact and you finish your thought, and then you move on to the next person and you make eye contact and finish your thought. And Joyce had never thinking about that before. So the next week she went back to her group in Mississippi and she started doing just that. She started just looking at the people in the eye and saying what she was saying, finishing her thought before she moved on to the next person. she called me later and she said, people came up to me afterwards and they said, what did you do different? What did you learn at that conference you went to? You're like a totally new person. And honestly, the only thing she had done new was make that eye contact. Well, the point of me telling you that is that if you're willing to get training, if you're willing to get help, you can become a great leader. And if you're going to pick a leader for your group to help you with your group, it's got to be somebody who is willing to get training. As much as I speak across the country, and as long as I speak, I still go every year for coaching with someone, with a national coach, because I want to keep getting better and keep learning what's the newest thing. Another thing that the leader has to be committed to is that they are willing to research and study and understand what it is they're bringing to the class. So, Google is your friend. You can find almost anything on the internet. So if the person is willing to do that research to bring something greatly interesting to the class, then it is really helpful. And then also that a leader should always be open to critique, ready to hear how I can be better, what are the better ideas. And so those are the kinds of people that you want to get in your group. So let's do a poll, Helen, and see how many people have leaders in their group.
All right. So we're going to do that first poll, just really how many leaders. I'm going to launch the poll. You're going to have to say, I'm going to take part of the poll. So maybe you're the only leader, you're number one, I'm on my own. Or maybe you have somebody that you are in it together with another person. Maybe there's 3 of you and you're sharing. Or maybe you have a team of 4 or more people leading your group. So we would love to see how many people are in your group. Choose the one that applies best to your group, your leadership team for the group that you're leading. So it looks like we have about 50% of the people have voted so far. So they're doing pretty good. They're figuring it out. We got quite a bit of participation, and the stats keep changing. So I really can't speak to I'm on my own it was the leader, now it's not, so I'll let you know that. We got 65% of the people have voted. Okay, 68. All right, I'm going to leave it up for 10 more seconds. If you want to vote, vote now. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm going to end. Now I'll share the results with you guys. Would you like to see? What do you think? So 41% have a partner. That's awesome. They're in it together.
Wonderful.
So
I'm so glad. Cool. I'm so glad that you do have a group, someone to help you in the group, because you need it, don't you? You can't carry the load all alone. You need leaders. So that is the second key, or the second way to have a powerful group, is to have leaders. And so start looking at your group and see who can become a leader, who is the one that can take on some part of the class each week. Number 3, this is your desire to grow. Are you really willing to have new people come in, people who are diverse in size, weight, men and women, age, ethnicity? Are you really ready to grow in that way? So your group needs to be one that makes that everyone wants to be a part of. I think if you do your job as a first-class leader, because the material is strong enough, the material is fabulous, it's life-changing, and if you do your job, then people are just going to want to join in your group. And look, here's what draws people to your group: the results. When they see that you're losing weight, when they see that your life is changing, that you're becoming more balanced, they're going to say, "What are you doing?" And you're going to say, "First place, come and join us." And when they see that it's fun, I hope you are having some fun. And when they see that there is deep, rich Bible study, they're going to want to come. And as you raise up new leaders, then those people have a tribe, and they will begin to also bring in people. So reach out and begin to apprentice a new leader, someone who can take over if you had to step down. So let's talk about that. Do you have somebody in your group that you've been watching that you think God might raise up to be a leader? So let's do a quick poll. Can we do this one? Oh, you've got it right there. Okay. Do you have an apprentice? Yes, no, or I'm praying for one.
Looks like they know how to do it now, Karen.
Oh, yeah.
They're coming in nice and strong right now. And while we were on, we have somebody joining us saying they're not leading yet, but they're feeling the pull to lead. So that's why they're here. So welcome. Just pray about it. And if God says it, we're happy to help you lead. It's, I understand that being afraid to lead. Trust me, that's, I heard that. All right. It looks like we have about 70% of the people. We're going to leave it open for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Here's the results. So looks like 27% have a yes. That's good. I like it that 42 are praying for one. That's a good step.
You as the leader need to begin to think, who is it that God would raise up out of this group? In our group at Grace Community here in Houston, I saw immediately 2 people that were committed to it, who were embracing the message of First Place and the plan of First Place, and now they're leading a group. That's Ebony Scruggs and Stephanie McCoy. I bet they're on here tonight, but they're doing a great job, and we could see that in them, that they were really ready to become a leader. So that's really great. All right, number 4 way to grow your group is to be sure that you have space to grow. You might not think this was important, but listen, 80%, if you're using 80% of your space capacity and any more than that, and your numerical growth will plateau. So if you're crammed in a room, if you're using more than 80% of the room, then see if you can get another room in your facility, and see if you can get a bigger place to meet, if the leadership of the church will allow you to find a better place, because it will stagnate your growth numerically. Also, make your space inviting, easy to enter, and welcoming. If there's chairs piled up in the corner, or there's too many empty tables and they're all piled up, get in there and clean it up and make it nice and neat. If it's a children's room or a teenager's room and you just get to use it on your day of your meeting, then do something to make it yours for the time that you're in it. So like section it off where you use some kind of screens or curtains or even balloons or something along that line, just to make that section your group section for that period of time, and make people feel like it's their group and they're there and they're welcome. And be careful how you arrange the chairs. For example, if you have the podium near the entrance of the room, if somebody comes in just a tad late, then they've got to walk in and the whole group is looking at them. And there they are, they're late, and they're like, oh no, everybody sees that I'm late. And they have to face everybody. So instead, put the main speaker podium on the other side of the room and have everybody facing that, so that if somebody does come in just a little bit late, they can just slip in unnoticed and not cause a group. Think about the arrangement of the room. If you have tables, that is so good, because people can use the tables for their books and their Bibles. A good arrangement we discovered was a U shape, where you have the tables in a U and then you're able to speak from the open part of the U. A round table is great if all of you can get around it. If you have seminar type tables in your church and everybody sits behind and faces the front, that works really well. If you have those longer tables that are wide, like they use in the 6 foot wide or 6 foot long and 2 or 3 feet wide, put 2 together so everybody can sit all the way around them, make a rectangle. And that makes for a really good conversation opportunity, where people can see each other's faces and they can hear each other. So think about your room and make it the most welcoming place so that people will come. Number 5 is name tags. Number 5 is name tags for the guests and for the members. And I want to encourage you to do something very creative. I I made a couple here to just show you. This one is made from a greeting card. It's an American flag with an eagle, and I just glued a sticker on the bottom of it with my name and put a piece of ribbon here where we could just pin it on, and it becomes a name tag. It's big, but it's creative, and it's not just that plastic or that paper thing that sticks on your shirt. Make some blank ones for your guests to have when they come. If you don't want to get that fancy and creative, then here's just a plain card, and I just put some washi tape along the bottom and some ribbon on the top, the same thing. And I would suggest that you do these and that you keep them in the room so that people will have them laid out where they can pick them up. It's just so personal if you do it this way. We had some made by the people in our church that were, real formal looking, but this is much more fun and more creative. And that way you'll know who's not there, and nobody will forget anybody's name, and it just feels like you're part of the group if everybody's name tag is there. So use name tags for the guests and for the members. It's a powerful way. Helen?
All right. Well, I wanted, one of the things I just wanted to wrap up, we're like halfway. And so we're just so glad for Karen to be here. And I wanted to remind you guys to send your questions in. You can do it through the question and answer period. So right now, most of the people are asking like where the numbers are. So starting back at the second half of Best Group Ever, I just wanted to review. Karen has covered number 1, purpose. Number 2, leaders of quality. Number 3, desire to grow. Number 4, a space to grow. And number 5 is name tags. So we're just thankful for that. And she showed us some really cool name tags on that first half. So if you have any other questions, just let us know. One other thing, someone wanted to see that mission statement one more time. So I'm going to put that mission statement up so you guys can see it. That just takes me 1 second to do all this technology. So give me a little, here you go. So here is the mission statement. This was a suggested mission statement. We exist to share our first place for health journey with each other, encouraging and urging one another to live a balanced life. How about that? That's an amen if you ask me. All right, Karen, back to you for the second half of our webinar.
Okay, thank you very much. And be sure to send in your questions, whether you're, wondering about nutrition or Bible study and all of those kinds of things and what to do. Let's talk about number 6, which is care group leaders. You may not think that you're big enough to divide into care groups. A lot of times a great big group will divide up so that a lot of people know how to do it. But I think it's worth it, even if you only have 2 people in each care group, because that way somebody is taking notice of another person, their situation, their health, their emotions, their mood, their life story, their whatever circumstances are around their life, and when they're missing and when they're not there. So maybe you don't think it's worth it, but I think it could be. And it's also a way to kind of grow some leaders, because you've got people who will take a care group, and then the leadership abilities that they have might show up. So I was thinking about this, and I was remembering in one of our classes, we had a gal in there who was so sweet, and she was going to school and she was working full time, and her job often made her work late. And so she missed class a lot. And, it was easy for us to say when she wasn't there, oh, she must have had to work late. But one of our members called her up and just said, we missed you. And we found out that she had been sick. And so I just thought, what an encouragement it would be if somebody would be designated to call another person and say, how are you doing this week? Are you doing your tracking? We missed you last week, whatever the situation. Somebody who will love on you, who will pray for you, who will encourage you. And as that mission statement, urge you on. So a care group leader would call people, pray for them, encourage them. And the whole reason for having it would be so that nobody would ever fall through the cracks and would suddenly be gone for 4 or 5 weeks before anybody noticed. And that brings me to a question that we got ahead of time from Ken about his biggest challenge. And I'll read you his question. He said, my biggest challenge is keeping the veterans, people who are in there the third or more consecutive time, how to keep them energized and excited as the newbies who show up. Sometimes with the veterans, the class becomes like a support group. And he said, do you have any recommendations? And I thought about that a lot. I was glad to get that question ahead of time, Ken. Thanks for that. I was, one of the ways that you can do that can help them is to offer the material in a new way, whatever material you're going to do, because we do kind of cover the same material each session. So I was thinking about an example, this gal that I told you about who was such a good nutrition expert. She really understood the nutrition labels on food. And she gave us these wonderful lessons on how to read those nutrition labels and what that meant and what everything meant and how we could pick the best, make the best choice. But as she gave it the second session and the third session and the fourth session, I noticed people's eyes beginning to glaze over like, oh, well, we've had this before. So one of the ways you can solve that is to ask someone else to do the nutrition label next time, even though that person was probably the expert, but just to have someone else do it, because they will bring a whole new perspective to it. And so I think that's a really good thing. Helen had an example of that. Helen?
Yeah, so in one of my groups that I was leading when I was in Pittsburgh, I was trying to just develop a lot, who might be interested in leading, and wasn't anybody stepping up. So I basically said, I need help. And so I had everybody, all of my people that had come back second and third time, to actually teach a part of the wellness topic. And I had them pick which wellness topic that we're doing next session that do you want to do. And one girl in my group, she took the portion distortion, measuring, that kind of stuff. And I was amazed. She came in with a PowerPoint. She brought in hand stuff, manipulatives, like a bag of rice, silly putty. We were measuring out. We did silly putty in a measuring spoon and then put it out in our hand so we could see how much a tablespoon was in the silly putty. And it was just one of those, at that point, she was just in my group, just trying to hang on and stay engaged. And it wasn't until much later in the sessions that everything finally kicked in and she was finally doing it. And she actually leads the ministry at the church where I used to go since I relocated. So it's just one of those things. It helped her see, hey, our members can contribute more than they think they can.
Yeah, they can, and they will they'll get excited about it and do a really good job and come up with creative ways to do it. So that's one answer to your question. I think my biggest answer to your question, Ken, is this. Never let your group members think they know what you're going to do. Never let them come in saying, oh, she's going to do the same old thing, or he's going to be just like he was last week. Surprise them every week with something, and so they won't get bored. And so one time I carried in a whole big basket of fresh food and put it on the table, and it was an enormous amount. And then I carried in 4 or 5 little boxes of processed food, and it was the same amount of calories. And it showed how much more food you can have than the processed food if you eat fresh food. So it is so much more beautiful too and tasty. So never let them think they know they've got you figured out, because you just surprise them every week. We bought a pound of fat from the butcher, and then people who said, I only lost a pound, then they were able to actually see what that pound of fat was. And so they were happy then to lose a pound of fat because it's big. Play games with them as you lead out in certain things. One of the things that Vicki does, I'm in a virtual group with Vicki right now, and she does this that I just love. And it's an icebreaker that she does every session. And even though we all know each other well and we've been together for several sessions now, these icebreakers bring out something new for us. So I asked Vicki if we could have this list, and she she's given it to us, and Helen's going to have it available for you. But it's all kinds of wonderful ideas, like if you could choose any career, what would it be? Or what's the most common phrase that describes you? Or who is your role model? Or who is your favorite teacher and why? And all kinds of interesting things like that. And it's so fun. And you get to know people when you really didn't have a chance to know them before. So in a way, maybe that you didn't. Another idea that you can do, so you can, Helen, you'll make that list available to them.
I
right?
will.
And
It'll be in the link. It'll be in the link.
Thank you for giving us that list, Vicki, because that is great fun. Another thing you can do is bring in a speaker or ask someone else to lead the Bible study, the part that you normally do. And read news articles and bring them in and see and discuss what they are. Just mix it up and keep it fresh and never let them know what you're going to do. And I think that you'll discover that they'll get less and less bored. If it does become a therapy session, then just try to offer positive answers to their complaints, and maybe even ask the group, how can we help this person out of this rut? So that's a hard part of it when it does sort of become a therapy session. Helen.
We have a question that it wanted a little bit more on how does a care group different from a prayer partner, which I thought was a good
It is a good question. Well, prayer partners you assign, we do them every week, assign a prayer partner to pray over your specific prayer, but that's you get a different prayer partner every week. A care group leader would be a person that was assigned, let's say I was assigned Helen and somebody else as in my care group, and I would check on them every week, and I would make the call, I'd make sure they were there, and if they weren't there, I'd know why, and I'd encourage them and ask them if they're doing their tracker and those kinds of things. Just they would be mine for the session. I think that's the difference.
And I think, Karen, what it is it's a leadership role in your group. So, leaders, we really should be praying for our people and checking up on them. But if your group is big, what if you have 13, 25 people in your group? How can one leader be that? So one person could still be the leader, but you could have several people in your group that you're the care team, and so you're the one following up with these 4 people or 5 people or 3 people the whole session. You're praying for them, know what's going on, so you can let the leader know, okay, this is, so everybody stays connected and is being cared for within the group.
Well, it's been proven in other in studies about small groups and the kind of groups like we have in church. We had care groups in choir and that kind of thing, where it's been proven that connection is just that one more level that keeps people coming and keeps people connected to the group. So it's all about communication. It's all about reaching people. So it's not all about lecture, and it's not all about just asking questions and getting answers or having a therapy session. It's about communication. And Helen, you had some statistics about communication.
Yeah, I learned this back in my work world when I was in the corporate world, but just recently in 2 different ministry trainings, I've heard the statistics shared about communication. So 7% of our communication is done just the words verbally. 38% is tone of voice, and 55% is body language. So I think I was talking to my mom about it. She was like, yeah, she says, I love you, but we're like standing like, ooh. It's not really. So the tone and body language makes such a big difference. So leader, what you say in front of your group, really, it's how you say it and how your body looks when you say it.
That's true. That's true. Well, let's move on to number 7, which is prayer. And I don't think anything goes anywhere without prayer. I've been on a 10-week deep dive into prayer, and I'm learning. What I'm learning is probably only the top layer of what you could learn. But I'll tell you something, when you pray big, bold prayers, God is pleased. In fact, Mark Batterson said, if you don't pray big, bold prayers, you're insulting God, because he has big, bold answers for all of us. Your first place journey as a person, as a person and as a leader, your journey can be a phenomenal witness to the people who find out about you and who see you. It can be it can be a phenomenal witness to your group and to those who are not in your group. And if you pray and ask God to let you become the kind of leader that would be growing people and would be ministering to people, I guarantee he'll answer that prayer. And I wonder if we really pray that God would send us new members, because sometimes I think we think, well, it's just good. We have this many and this is enough. But we need to be praying that God will send us new members. I go to a church that moved from a white collar community over by NASA, where all the astronauts and engineers from NASA went to church there, and moved to the big freeway, to a big intersection of freeways. And when they moved, the pastor's wife told me, she said, we began to pray that God would make our congregation look like heaven. And oh my goodness, if you went there today, you would see black, brown, red, every skin color in the world, every ethnic group from every country in the world, young, old, all different kinds of people. That diversity is something that they wanted. And a lot of people say, I want that, but I wonder how many of us really pray for it. So if you really want to bring new people in to your group, and I believe God wants that, I know that this material is fabulous for them. If you really want to bring them in, then you need to start praying that prayer. Number 8 is invitation. Have you invited anybody recently? So you need to start talking it up all the time. It should be the one place in your church that everybody wants to be part of, because so much is happening there. You know, when growth happens, it's like a family. It's not like some class that's going on. It's like a family goes there. So do what you need to do that works within your church. Some churches would allow you to put something in the bulletin. Others might allow you to do a bulletin or a brochure of some sort, or you may have kiosk at your church where you can give out information. But Helen's going to show you on the website how you can get brochures. You can actually purchase brochures that would meet all the standards of First Place. Unmute yourself there, girl.
I see that. Yes. I guess you want to hear me. In our store under Leader Essentials, we have brochures that you can buy by the pack. They're a trifold. We sell them at cost. So we want you to pass these out. They're very nice. They have a success story in them. The inside of them has the four-sided person. I carry these with me all the time. No one would be surprised to hear that I'm passing these brochures out wherever and ever I go. But if someone asks me what First Place is about, I like to have the brochure because it gives them a good explanation right away. And this is available on our website that you can purchase at any time.
I think it's a good thing for all of us to have with us all the time. And if you produce your own brochure, you need to run it past Helen or Lisa and be sure that it uses the logo properly and it meets all the requirements that we have for First Place and for our brand. So if you'd be so good to do that. All right, number 9 is, it's going to surprise you when I tell you what number 9 is, because you're going to say, but didn't we just talk about care group leaders? I did just talk about care group leaders. But this one is for you as the leader to contact members. Now, I know that you can't do that every week. And I know that you probably can't do it more than a couple of times a session. But at some point during the session, you need to make contact with each of your members. You've got to do it as the main leader so that you can develop that relationship. So work yourself out a plan. I'm going to contact 2 a week, or I'm going to do 3 this week and none next week, whatever your plan is. And your contact can be by phone, just a simple phone call, or a card. Do you know how wonderful it is to get a written card in the mail? Everything's done by email now. To get a handwritten card is wonderful, but an email is nice too. And one group I know has formed a Facebook secret page. So if you don't know how to do that, ask a teenager and they'll tell you how to do it. But learn how to do that, and then it's a Facebook page where just your group can go on there. And you can give them information. You can answer questions from the last week. You can remind them of the class that's coming up, or remind them of an assignment you've given them, or anything like that. So I think that is your job as a leader, to make contact at least once every session with each individual member. And now number 10, let's move on to number 10, and that is fellowship activities. Listen, this will grow your group better than anything. Here's the problem with us as church people. We always center our fellowship around food, don't we? And we don't want to do that, because that's not what we're about. So here are some ideas of ways that you can fellowship together without centering on food. 1, walking together. One group I know walks inside the church after the meeting. So as soon as the meeting's over, they all take off and walk throughout all the halls of the church and get a little exercise, and it's a time to be together. Another thing you can do is have some contests. Have a contest like dress up for the holidays, like make the best poster for an advertisement for first place. How about having a joke telling contest? Wouldn't that be a fun fellowship? Everybody tells a joke and see what happens. I love white elephant gifts and play that game where you get those gifts and you pass them around. Another fun activity that you can do together is this, and it really has a great purpose too. We just did it with a small group. That we bought these real inexpensive backpacks that are drawstring, you know, they're nylon and drawstring. I know what you know what I'm talking about. And they don't cost very much at all. And so we brought those to the meeting, and everybody brought something to put in those backpacks for the people on the street who are begging on the street corners. I don't know if you have that in your town, but we have it in our town a lot. And we always hesitate to give money because we don't know if they're just going to go buy liquor or what they're going to do. But we fill the backpacks full of Kleenex and hand cleaner and granola bars and anything that's non-perishable like that, and a fresh pair of socks and that kind of thing. And fill those backpacks and then divide them up among the group. So we each got about 8 in our group, and we have them in our car. And when we drive by one of these people, we can pull it out and hand it to them and feel very happy that we're doing that. So what a great thing to do for your group. Go to a baseball game or a football game together. Go to a nursing home together. Go and play bingo with the people at the nursing home. They love it. Take a bike ride together. Another way is to adopt a charity or a mission or some project like that. A small group that I know about in Canada, they helped to build a water well. This is less than 60 people raised enough money to dig a well in Haiti. And when the earthquake came to Haiti, everything in that village was destroyed except the well. And the well still gave fresh water, and the people had it the next day. So what a blessing and what a joy. So why couldn't you do that? Why not? So I encourage you to find fellowship activities that don't include food and ways that you can get together. I was thinking of some others. Go bowling, pass out Bibles door to door, have a board game night, play board games, go Christmas caroling at Christmas, go on a prayer walk, go to the gym together, do something all the time. One thing we did in class that we loved, I had a video of Vicki doing sit-down exercises in a chair, and we played it in class, and we were sitting in class doing that exercise, and it just made us all enjoy each other and enjoy the time and get a little exercise too. So Helen, let's do another survey.
All right. Well, we thought in your chat window, if you did something different or something you've done within your group that was a fellowship activity or a serving activity or something that was fun, we thought if you could just type it, just one sentence. No, we don't need any novels here, but we would like to have just a little information to give everybody an idea of what it is, that other ideas for you to do. So why don't you go ahead and type away? You have to hit enter.
5K walk.
Yeah.
Scavenger hunt at a health food store. What fun. Bowling party. Yay. Met at a track, yeah.
And somebody also asked, could they do Facebook? Could they invite people to First Place on Facebook? Absolutely. You could create your event, your orientation on Facebook if you want. So that would be awesome. So there's a
Small
scavenger hunt at the grocery store. We did just a grocery store tour. A lot of those large grocery stores have nutritionists on staff, and they're happy to have you do a grocery store tour.
No, I love that. Watch a movie after that's great. Christmas lights, water exercise. Oh, I'm so proud of you, all of you, for doing that. If you will do this, it will bond your group together.
Yes.
So do we have questions? Aha, a sing-off karaoke.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. One of the questions that we have is always the regular about our materials and how to, when are they going to be training videos and stuff. So if you look on our YouTube channel and our website, you'll see that we have some training videos for leaders on how to use our member kits. Any of you that have been helping fundraise know that we're working on a whole new set of materials. We're very excited about that coming in 2018. So we've been fundraising. It's not too late. If you'd like to help us double your donation, we have a double your donation going right now. And so we are definitely on track for 2018 release of new materials. But we don't want people to not have a group because of that. So the materials are still relevant that we have now, and you can, bring new stuff to it. The internet is amazing to add to your group too. So the only other question, I think you already answered, how many in a care group? And
I would say 2 to 10, but probably not more than 10 unless you got somebody that's really energetic. I'd say 2 or 3 or 4 would be perfect.
I know for me, I have a co-leader, and so we just split it up in half. She cares for half and I care for the other half. We just took that on assignment as a way.
Yeah, do that and then bring in somebody else to just teach them the ropes of leadership. Yeah. That's how you grow leaders.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can have the recipes. That's another thing. Have people bring, the recipes they've tried out in a group. Have I know that's about food, but have recipes.
First place recipes are good.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, water aerobics. They have somebody that I went to a celebration once where they had water aerobics.
Oh, what fun.
It was in the summer. It was very fun.
Very good.
Well, it looks like we are wrapping up. We're so thankful for everyone's sharing and giving us groups. And so just glad we have someone saying the virtual groups fill up. They do fill up. And if any of you want to be a virtual group leader, you just email me right away and we'll talk. We have 16, 17 virtual groups right now, and they all sell out. And so if you're interested in that, we'd love to have you do that too. All right, Karen, thank you so much. Yay!
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. And come back next month. See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.